Hey, bricks and mortar retailers, it's Alvin, and today we are going to be talking about a little topic that you may or may not have heard in the news recently, as I make this on the 10th of April, 2025. But this is going to be a training for the ages because this happens all the times. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about tariffs and how this impacts your store. No doubt you've already figured out or starting to realize how it's affecting your store, but what I'm going to show you is how to actually survive this period and how to actually thrive during this period. So before we launch into it, like I said, my name's Alvin. If you're new here and if you're watching this in my Facebook group, I would really appreciate if you hit that like button. If you're watching on YouTube, same thing, hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And these are the two platforms which I provide exclusive training about how to grow your bricks and mortar retail store. So that you can get some actionable tips that you can start to implement within your business. Just realized I didn't have the intro open. So there you go. You can see me now. Oh, well, that's all part of the fun. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So there is this presentation, this survival guide, if you will, regarding tariffs. If you want a copy of it, just put in the comments section below tariffs. And myself or one of the team will ensure that you get a copy of this guide, checklist, or workbook, or whatever you want to call it. And I've tried to make it so it's super easy to understand and that you can actually start to implement it. So the techniques I've got here are nothing too crazy. So this all has come about obviously because of the tariffs. A lot of my paid clients are asking me, and this has been a really in-depth discussion about how we are going to manage this phase. And so that's why I thought for non-clients, I would do a little bit of training on how I've gone about thinking about it, how I'm explaining it to my clients, and so on and so forth. By the way, I speak about clients. If you want to work with us to help grow your business, grow your retail store, just in the comments section below, you'll see a link to my website. You can go there, book in a call. We can have a chat about how we can help you grow your retail store. Excuse me, should get some water here. So basically, I mean, we know what's happening right now. Tariffs, right? They're creating a lot of financial pressures. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace, and not just for retail stores, but for every business. And in fact, a lot of the consumers out there worldwide, right? It's a little bit of an interesting time. But I'm just here to tell you that all the things that I'm talking about today and how we're going to work through this phase has actually happened before. So the reality is we constantly are experiencing disruptions in our trading cycle, whether, like I said, not just retail stores, but whole of anyone in the economic space, if you will. Whether it's with our shares or larger trading corporations or big retailers, whoever. We all experience these. There were events that have happened in the past continuously, like COVID is the most recent one, that we had the stock market crash before that. And there are various events that kind of happens all the time. And it's really, when you go back and when you start to look at it, there are some key things that the major retailers and business owners who have been successful, who have weathered this storm during this time, have done. And that's basically what I did when I was going, because I've gone through a couple of cycles when I was running my stores. And these are the same things that I've done. So the whole idea is we want to make sure that we focus on running our store, protecting the profitability, and maintaining our customers' trust during this time, right? So we know what the problem is. We are going to have margin erosion in some way, shape, or form, maybe. As I say it on the 10th of April, it might be a maybe, it might change, but it's going to be anywhere between 10 to 85%. For many of us retailers, we're buying goods and then wholesale and retailing it. Quite often the goods that we buy at wholesale are made overseas at different parts of the world. So I'm not only talking to, by the way, I'm not only talking to our retailers in the US of A, but this is a global thing that is happening. And at some point, something similar may happen within your geographic region. So all the same principles apply. So what we have, we've got margin erosion. Definitely it's going to cause a little bit of chaos in our back office, right? In terms of our inventory, like where we're going to get stock from. Maybe some of us have bought stock in advance, like who the hell knows what's going on, right? Also, we feel like we're in a competitive disadvantage because you would think that the big box retailers have sort of factored this into their forecasting, perhaps. They've got access to a lot more stock than us independent smaller retailers can. So, we're directly competing with them, as we always are. And all of this causes, if it hasn't already, it's going to strain your cash flow, right? And mainly this is due to the fact that many of us small retailers, we don't have a lot of suppliers that we deal with, maybe a handful, whereas the big boxes have got large suppliers that we deal with. But ultimately, it's going to reach a point where it's going to be really hard to manage our cash flow, our profitability is going to go down, and all those kind of things. Excuse me. So what happens if we get this right? All right, we're going to stabilize our margins. There's not going to be much of a flux. We are going to be strategic in our approach and try and maintain our margins as best as we can. You know what? I guarantee that just from a lot of the retailers I'm speaking to, not within my coaching/consulting program, but a lot of retailers are just like sitting on the fence or burying their head in the sand and not doing anything. You need to be really proactive during this period and start to think about how you're going to mitigate some of these risks and how to maintain and protect your margin and start to take action, which is the big point that I want to come across here. So really, it's super important that you start to get on top of this. And yes, you are going to have some inventory issues, but once you start to deal with the problem, you can hopefully iron that out. Your loyalty is going to go up because, like I mentioned, there are so many retailers who are not doing anything and who are actually going to be driving their store to the ground. This is a perfect opportunity for you to start taking action and increase customer loyalty. And we want to maintain, or as always is what I preach, is trying to improve your cash flow during these periods, right? So important because if you haven't already realized, that the flow of cash coming in is the oxygen in your business. You absolutely need to pay attention to it. And this is what's going to drive your store moving forward. So you want to make sure that there's consistent cash coming in and you're pulling all the right levers within your store. So first thing, I often talk about this. I mean, this is the basis of what I do, right? And you always need to harp back or fall on first principles. And that first principle is to make sure that you are tracking your cash flow, right? Keeping it really, really simple. You've got a simple method in place of tracking the way the cash goes in and out of your business. So if you haven't already got that sorted out, you need to sort that out ASAP, and you need to continue to do it. You need to prioritize the payments that you make to your customers, to your suppliers, I beg your pardon. You need to make sure that you're working strategically within your payment periods and really maximizing your cash flow. And as many of you know, as part of the cash piece, you need to look at your expenses again and start to really go through it and cut non-essential crap essentially out of your business, right? So this is the time to be constantly doubling down on the basics and fundamentals of your store. Again, the next thing is a lot of people, a lot of retailers, a lot of businesses, even during these tough times, they kind of run around like a headless chicken, unsure what to do. One of the next pieces of doubling down is to really reinvest in your team. And remember, reinvesting in your team does not cost a lot. There is a little bit of investment in time, definitely a little bit of investment in, a little bit of after hours time, if you will, if you need, depending on which part of the world you're in. If you're paying your team members, buying pizza, as I normally recommend, or any other foods that you will. But this is the time that you need to double down on training your team, right? So we need to make sure that we're continually training our team on, not only how to serve customers, but training them how to upsell, right? This is a fundamental principle that, as retail store owners, this is something that we're missing out on. Very few of our team members know actually how to sell. So we need to train them. And the best way to do that, if you haven't developed a training program, is to find one, talk to us, and implement it with your store, and just start with a version 1.0. And a good training program involves role-playing. It involves having cheat sheets ready so your team members know that when somebody comes into your store, because hopefully your stores are there to solve a particular problem. So, there are certain things they're going to come in. So if you're in a boutique, a women's boutique, they're probably going to come in to buy a dress or a top, whatever. But your team members need to be all across it on how they are going to respectfully solve your customer's problem and thereby upsell them as well. So you need to have these checklists ready, create them with your team. It's a great way for team engagement, but this is what you need to double down and essentially create these lists, which are really, really important. They make it so much easier for your new team members as well. It's just a great tool. It's so old school, but it works. And of course, we need to continue to reward our team members, right? So this is not necessarily like giving them cash, although if your business can suit that, great, if it suits. But simple recognitions, whether it's a sticker, acknowledgement during your team meetings or your huddles, perhaps we have, you buy cakes or some sort of celebration, but you really need to double down on your team and the whole aspects of it, from the selling to the rewarding of them. And this is what we're working towards. We're trying to optimize and increase our average dollar sale, our average sale value. There's so many ways that we can do this. And it's a good time to revisit what you're bundling or not bundling. So looking at how you can pair up the high tariff margins with another high margin product and bundling it together. So that's a really, really good strategy that you can start to implement within your store. Tiered pricing is also something that I've spoken about at length. And also, as part of the upselling piece, we can thank Ray Kroc, is the would you like fries with that kind of situation that we're asking at the register. So your team members should be doing something like that, right? And so at the best of times, many retailers don't even focus on their basket size or their average dollar sale. Definitely during these kind of periods, you need to double down on this stuff, and you need to start to track and measure and understand what it is, your basket size, your average dollar sale, and work at ways on how to increase it during this time. Because, the great thing is when you double down on this stuff, right, and this phase that we're going through ends, your store is going to be so much better positioned to take off to the next level once everything sort of resets back to normal, right? And continuing to double down on these core principles will be so important and so beneficial in the long run. So there you go. One of the things that we've probably noticed during this tariff period is the communication, lack of over communication, all the bullshit communication. So we need to make sure that we communicate these tariffs and price increases or decreases to our customers, right? You can use in-store signage. Make sure you're using a loyalty system to communicate, using your social media to communicate with your customers. And remember, you have a loyalty program, hopefully. And so this is another great opportunity to double down and start to work on your existing customers, because we all know it's a lot harder to acquire a new customer. And so we already have these people on our database, and they have signed up to our loyalty program at some stage. And we really need to work their system, work that loyalty system, and get them to come back into our stores respectfully, obviously, by providing some really, really good promotions, some really, really good reasons to come back within your store. And the more you communicate this and show the value proposition of shopping within your store to your customers/clients, not only is it going to be a lot better for you, but if you think about it, for them, because they know they're dealing with a retailer who is super proactive. You're probably more proactive within the community now, and you're there to help them. So communication is super important. And of course, we get to one of the critical pieces here, and that's inventory, right? Many of us store owners, we don't really manage our inventory as well as we should, and now is a really, really good time. Certainly, if you are experiencing a little bit of quiet times within the store, this is a great time to get back in and start to sort out your inventory, start to do your stock counts, your data integrity, get rid of slow-moving dead stock, all that kind of stuff. If you are experiencing quiet times within the store, it's super important that we not only continue to do it, but this is now the time to double down again. Let's look at those dead stock, slow-moving stock, bundle them up, get rid of them. Make sure you're utilizing your point of sale system to the best of its ability, right? Call the help desk of your point of sale company. Get some more training, because the power of the reports that you have will allow you to implement all your learnings within store and start to move things around and start to manage your inventory a lot better. And of course, where possible, tighten up on your ordering, right? We've heard about first in, first out, or just in time, or some sort of similar method of doing that. Figure out what your ordering cycle is, tighten it up a little bit, have a look at it, maybe go through with your purchasing manager or retail manager or whoever does the buying within your store. You really don't want to be stocking up too much. Otherwise, it'll just tie up all your cash effectively. So yeah, go back to the basics of managing your inventory. Okay. So there are some of the tips that I really encourage you to start to implement within your store during these times of tariffs and all the kerfuffle that's happening outside in the marketplace. It's a challenge and you can't control it because the guy that's doing all these things. But in a very Buddhist way, you can actually control your response to what's happening in the marketplace. And all amazing business owners have the ability to do that. So you need to start to be proactive. And that's starting to sell more, train your team, start to build the resilience and build upon the foundations of your store. And I think it's so important. And it's something that's often overlooked during these funky times that we're experiencing. So that's what you need to do. And so lastly, you make sure you start to take action. You've got enough things to work through here in this little guide that I've given you. You really do have the potential to increase sales in your store by 15%, right? And to offset some of that profit that you may be losing. But now's the time to double down. And you can overcome these 10 to 85%, who knows, whatever the tariff charges are going to be. And so what I'm trying to show you is, this is only a little bit of the puzzle, right, of what you can do in store. Obviously, for our clients, we go through a whole heap of more measures that you can start to use to be super resilient and actually grow during this period in your store and scale your store. But ultimately, what it is, it's this compounding effect. You do a little bit here, reduce your expenses a bit, train your team, basket size goes up, you bundle this, yada, yada. And that all compounds into a much better performing store, and you will ultimately see it in your bottom line. Cool bananas. So you've made it to the end. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you like this video, subscribe. And like I mentioned, if you want a copy of this guide, just click in the comments section, just put the word tariffs, and we'll make sure you get it out to you. So until next time, catch you later. Bye.